Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair. I have a PS5 on my bench today. I actually started to assemble this, but there was no audio. I had a problem with the setting on the recording, so unfortunately you have not seen me dismantle it. But to be quite honest, I had to look at some teardown videos on YouTube anyway, so you wouldn't have learned anything new that we didn't already know really. So this is the PS5. Now the problem with this, and I'll just mention before we start on this one, I've never actually looked at one of these before. This is new to me, but you know, it's all electronics at the end of the day, so let's see if we can get somewhere with it. So it does power up in as much as if I connected the power lead, okay, and switch on. We get 3 bleeps, and that's it, okay? I had the fan connected previously. The fan doesn't spin. I mean, the fan's okay. Yeah, the fan's okay. It just doesn't spin. I'll just plug it back in just for the moment. So there's the fan. Okay. Probably better just to let it up somewhere. It's free to move. Okay, so power on. 3 bleeps, it doesn't spin. There's no lights on the front, nothing lights up. So that's what we basically have with this. That's what it's actually doing, or rather not doing. Of course, I can't unplug this again now. They're very awkward to get these things in and out, and the thing seems to be loose on the board as well. I'm not very happy with that connector at all, actually, on the fan. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I think it is actually soldered down. We can check. So I'll just put the meter on resistance range. I think it's just a little bit loose basically, so we just go from the pad to the pin. Yeah, I'll put the bleeper on so you can hear it. So yeah, that's okay. Let's try and get on the pad. Yeah, it's okay. I'm only on the pad, I'm not on the pin. This one. Yeah, so it's okay, it's just a little bit loose. So how do I go about it? Well, first off is I'm just going to check for the voltage on this. So I did actually get a little bit of information on this before I started. I found a video by a guy I know, I've never met him, Phil, the coder, and he specified on one of his videos, which I'll link, some of the common voltages that we find on here. And in particular, he says this voltage regulator here is the 3.3. No, I tell a lie. This one here is the 3.3 volt regulator, can have problems. This is the 5 volt regulator. So let's have a look to see what we have on our board. Let's see if we actually have any voltages present. So first of all, 5 volts. That comes from over here. Yeah. Let's see what we get. So I'll put the meter onto voltage range. I have connected this to my monitor, by the way, 2 different ones. I don't get a picture on it. Bleep, 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 yeah. I've also tried holding the power button in for 15 seconds. Somebody suggested that. So I've tried the common fixes on this and nothing gets a picture out of it, just 3 blips and nothing else. So let's have a look at some of these voltages. This is your 5 volt on here apparently, and we have 5 volts, so we have a 5 volt supply. Okay, and the next one we should be looking at is this one. So the 5 volts comes in, well, these capacitors look like inputs. Look, we've got a buck converter, an inductor. Those look like output capacitors and input, or one way or the other. These ones are on the same side as the inductor, so you would say that these are the output capacitors, okay? So input should be 5 volts, and we do have. There's a little fuse here, but we have 5 volts, that must be okay. Yeah, and the 3.3 should be on these capacitors. And we have 3.3, so this has 5 and 3.3. Let's see if we can find any more voltages. So, again, this is from Phil's video, the coder. He says this is the 1.1 volt supply. And that's missing. So we don't have any 1.1 volt, okay? There's a 0.8 volt on these, which is over here. And that's missing. It's actually reading the slight negative 0.2, but there's no 0.8. So the 0.8 volts is missing. That should be on here apparently. We have some more regulators. I'm not sure what these are, but we can have a look. So this is a voltage regulator. I'm going to go around the board looking at all these voltage regulators, okay? So this one, again, we can see there's an inductor. This is the regulator chip, so input capacitors, output. The output ones are always on the same side as the inductor. So this is a 1.98, that's a 2 volt. As near as damn a 2 volt supply. So it must have a supply coming in. Yeah, 5 in and 2 volts out. Now, I do know that 2 volts is one of the voltages we should find on this. We should have a 1.8 somewhere. The other ones I don't know. There's another regulator here. So this has 2 inductors. 1, 2. It looks like it has 2 inputs. Okay. This is near the RAM, so this could be a RAM supply. I'm not totally sure. Let's have a look. So what do we have? There's nothing on there. There's nothing on there. Nothing there. These will be the outputs. So assumedly there is nothing on the output because I can't see anything on the input. So this seems to be missing an input voltage. There's like a resistor or something. Let's have a look. So, oh, there's 5 volts. So this looks like it has a 5 volts here. These look like inductors. I'm not sure that they are, but they look like. I wonder if this thing is actually 4 voltage rails. So we have an input and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks like it has 4 supply rails on this chip. Yeah, what is this thing? Well, we have a part number, so we can have a look at the data sheet for that one. But it's looking now like this may have 4 different voltage rails and they're all missing, they're not running. Let's see if I can actually read this chip. What's it say? Dialogue. I have to get under the magnifier. One moment, guys. Yeah, I don't seem to be able to find a data sheet for it. You can buy them. So, I think this is an inductor. Read 0. And I think this is an inductor. Read 0. So those are inductors. What are these things? That reads like an inductor as well. that reads like an inductor as well. So I appear to have 5 volts, but this coming through this resistor makes me think this might be an enable signal. There's 2 plus 2. What's this thing read? Was it 0 ohms? Yeah, 2 point something ohms. Okay. Those look like output capacitors on that inductor. Output capacitors on this one. That seems to go back to the chip. I'm not totally sure what this is, guys. I've not come across this chip before. Don't seem to have a data sheet. I'm not sure that does go back to there. It might do. Oh, but if this is a buck converter, there will be like a phase detector, which is probably that pin. So this probably is a rail. What's this one? Well, it appears to be driven from there and back to here. Output capacitors, and this one appears to be about the same. So this looks, I'm saying looks like 4 power rails, and none of them are up. But I'm not totally sure where the input voltage would be in that case. Well, I mean, we have here 5 volts. But I wouldn't expect it to come through a resistor if it's the power in. What's this? Yeah, this might be the power in. Let's have a look. Okay, so we can have a look. We'll just switch it on again. 3 bleeps. So I think the voltage may come in here. And we have nothing. And this I'm pretty sure is ground. Okay, so this chip appears to have no power from what I can see. All it has is this 5 volts, okay? So that one's a little bit of a mystery at the moment, okay? Yeah, I can only think the power comes in here. So that's that one. What else do we have? I mean, that's near the RAM. It might be involved in the RAM supply. I'm not sure. I think there's some more on the other side of the board. This looks like another voltage regulator. I can't see any inductor around here, but it looks sort of like that. Do we have anything? Yeah, this is a 12 volt supply. So we have 12 volts coming in. Is this the output? Only a guess. Oh, yeah. That's 5 volt supply. I also have all these. So these look like the power supply for the APU, the processor. I bet there's nothing here. Yeah, there's nothing there. So we don't have any power to the APU. So this looks to me like it's kind of in a standby mode. But say it doesn't do anything. It doesn't react if you press the power button. It just gives a bleep, 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 and that's all you get out of it. So I think the next thing I should just check is if there are any short circuits on any of the power rails. We know the 5 and the 3.3 are there, so they must be okay. We can look at this 1.1 volt. So this one apparently powers the south bridge, and it's reading about 3.8k. So if you have a short on this inductor, it's most likely a shorted south bridge. Again, thank you, Phil, that was from you. These are on the V core. Now this reads low, about 0.5. Let me try and zero the meter. So I'll just connect the probes together. Okay. And just hit calibrate button on my meter. So that's saying 0 now. What do we have? We have 0.2. Now that might look like a short, but I don't think it is a short. Oh, that's 0.1. That looks a bit more like a short. Just measure them shorted together again. 0. 0.1. If it was 0.2, I'd probably say that's normal, but I think at 0.1, I may actually have a shorted APU. Again, some of you guys can probably tell me that. I'm pretty certain that's what I'm seeing there. In fact, I'm sure I would see the same sort of thing under here. Well, that's 2 ohms. That's a different supply. 15. So I'm seeing some different supply rails here. One end of these will be ground. But 0.1, I don't know. Don't know, guys. A little bit suspicious of that. But it could be correct, I guess, for one of these APUs. I know who will know if I can get him to watch this video. Okay. These capacitors here. 16, 17 ohms. These are quite big capacitors. This is for most likely quite a hefty power rail for something. So I'm not surprised to see 15 ohms on that one. This was the 2 volts. We know that was present anyway. So that can't have a short on it. I can have a look around capacitors. So if I see capacitors on the board, we shouldn't have a short across them, okay? One end will be ground. So there's no short there. There's no short there. No short on any of these. So if you're looking for shorts, if you find electrolytics and you don't know the board, just measure across them. I mean, if you find a short across one of these, that's very, very suspicious. Okay, so they read okay. So I don't see any shorts there. Let's look on the other side of the board. Okay. It is switched off. I have to push down on this little tab. It's a funny thing, this is, guys, by the way. So you push down on this tab and then you pull the ribbon out. Okay. Well, so that's the theory. So have a look, push down on the tab. Yeah. And pull the ribbon out. Okay, that's how you do those things. Okay. This is effectively just held on by the heatsink compound. Yeah, it's come free quite easily. And it's now stuck. So this came from over here. Horrible stuff, yeah. Yeah, it looks like it came from that way. Okay. So, what do we have? Well, we have more buck regulators, basically. And again, let's look for some shorts. So, ground. We'll start with these big ones. So, because they're quite big ones, you'd expect to have a fairly low resistance. Yeah, 2.6. I'm not overly suspicious of that. 15.9, call it 16, so they're 2 different voltage rails. There's a smaller one here. What's this one? 300, about 250k, it's high. I'd expect the small ones to have quite a high resistance, to be quite honest. Large and a small one, so what we have, kilo ohms, mega ohms even on this one. Yeah, just reads almost open, that one. Okay. This is the 12 volts coming in. So this is probably a filter, and this one next to it. These are probably filters that just on the input. So the 12 volts, yeah, that goes into all these, which is one phase. And then this filter goes into these 2, which are either separate or another phase, or like another phase. So These you'd expect them to read high, maybe even open, which is what we have, that one and that one. Yeah, 16 megs. That's your 12 volts coming in. So this one goes into this slot, which will be all these. This is expected to be low. 0.5 again as the meter zeroing. 0.5. This will be again the APU, it's just on the other side of the board. 5. Yeah, so those are a single phase again. They join together here, or rather a single supply. There's two phases, I would say, on a single supply. So they're probably okay, apart from this one. I'm still a bit suspicious. Here's another one. So again, what do we have? It looks like, yeah, this is your 12 volts. So this is an input inductor, and then these are MOSFETs. That's the controller, that's the voltage rail. So again, this is expected to be high, very high. It's just a filter, 14 mega ohms. This fairly low, you would think. Actually, no, it's quite high, 36k. And this one here, very similar. This one, 28 ohms. Typical sort of thing you'd find on a graphics card, that. So really, that's all the supply rails we can see on here, or that I can see. I might have missed some small one somewhere. CMOS battery. That reads okay. Anything over 3 volts is fine. So basically, I haven't spotted any shorts. Oh, there's another power rail here. And bear in mind, I couldn't find the 1.8. It could be on this side of the board. So this one reads high. Yeah, high resistance on the little inductor. It's kind of what you'd expect, because obviously the small power supply isn't supplying much power really. Okay. So the only really suspicious thing I see with this is the extremely low resistance on this. I would expect it to be low. Let me get the milliohm meter and let's see what that says it is. I'm on the 2 ohms range. I'll zero the meter. Right, zeroed. Okay, what do we have? I'll just try to get a good ground. What do we have? 150 milliohms. I'm going down to the 200 ohm milliohms range. Zero this. Okay, zeroed. What we got? $160 milliohms. That is low. It's less than it's less than 0.2 of an ohm. But, you know, for a chip like that, it could be. Let me see if there's any information online on what it should be. Well, I've not been able to find that information, so I'm going to say it's okay, but that's just a gut feeling, yeah. I think if it was short, probably I wouldn't even have the other standby power rails, because it all comes from the 12 volts. So I do think it is short, although that rail isn't powered up. Fair enough. I've looked around the board and there's a number of fuses on this. So we see this like F7001. There's like a tiny little thing there with a letter T. So these are fuses. There's a number of them on the board. So I've been across the board and checked all of them. They're all reading 0 ohms. So I don't have a fuse blown. And that also kind of ties in with the fact that I don't seem to have any shorts anywhere. So other things we can check, because apparently they fail commonly on these. The HDMI connector. And that does look okay. Let's have a look under here. No, nothing to see under there. Other side. Yeah, it's there. So that looks okay. Doesn't look damaged. The same with the USB ports. Always worth having a look inside these things, but I'm not sure I can get the camera to actually focus, the overhead camera, but I can look down inside them and they look okay to me. Yeah, we got some focus this time, so I don't see any problem with those either. Okay. Nothing obviously burnt or damaged or anything on here. So where does that take us? Well, from what I can see, this board is just in standby. That's why I have the voltages I do have and don't have the other ones. It's not starting up. I would need to know quite a bit more. I mean, the startup sequence is probably controlled by this chip, but if these are short, where we had that 1.1 volt, I would read the short to ground, and I don't have. So although it doesn't mean the chip's okay, it's not the common failure that I've seen that they go short. Is this like a BIOS type thing? I mean, it's not a PC motherboard, but for some reason not booting up. Well, I don't really see how I can work that out just from what I'm doing today, which is measuring voltages. But I know somebody, I mentioned earlier, you might know, so I'm going to give him a shout. Let's publish this video anyway. You guys, what do you think about this? Yeah, maybe have a bit more information. Point me one way or the other, and then we can just come back onto it and do a part 2. So you've seen the fault. Power on, 3 bleeps, no power lights, nothing. There is no picture. I didn't show it in this video, but guys, there is no picture. I've tried it on the capture card. I've tried it on my TV with a different HDMI lead. All the supply to the RAM and the CPU and the South Bridge don't seem to power up at all. It appears to fail before that. Having said that though, something makes it go bleep, so something's alive on here. Yeah. Okay. Over to you guys. What do you think? Let's chat down there. Okay. And see you all soon on another Learning Electronics Repair video. And maybe we'll learn something on this next time. Ciao for now, guys.